Okay, hello. Welcome back. Sorry I wasn't on yesterday. Sometimes things come up. You know how it goes. All right, so as usual, just a reminder that Patchwork Girl of Oz issue 3 is in stores now wherever Image comics are sold. Also available digitally on Comixology/Kindle. So check it out. Check out the first 3 issues. If you like it, it'd be great if you could leave a review on Amazon. That really helps. I already got some reviews up for all 3 issues, and they're all 5-star reviews. So thank you so much for those who've done that. I appreciate it. All right. So I actually am just going to get to work here today because got a lot of work to do. Going to be finaling the pencils on this, which is, not the most exciting page, but it's sort of indicative of, it's like classic Oz. They're walking down the road, and sort of like in cinematic terms, I feel like they were kind of walking into a close-up here. I kind of like the progression of them kind of coming like this. All right, so let's drag this up here. As usual, I'm watching the chat on Instagram, YouTube, and Rumble, so if you got anything you want to talk about, let me know. I'm just going to get to work here, sort of refining things. Where should I start first? I guess I'll start up here at the beginning. Got the Patchwork Girl acting like a goofball. Kind of want her sort of marching. And if when my wife sees this panel, she'll laugh because it's kind of an in-joke for us, marching. She'll know. Means the Patchwork Girl is having a good time. Just gonna refine these pencils. Kind of want her being goofy and jubilant. Marching down the stairs. And then Ojo and a class cat are having a private conversation. Well, not private, but having a conversation. Him clasping his always got to be aware of like the scale of these characters comparably. Got 3 characters who are very different sizes, and I'm always trying to maintain the correct aspect ratio. Actually, the thing is like making sure that the proportions of Ojo are correct. He's got a big head. But I think these guys need to be a little bigger. And I think I've used this before, but this this pose with Patchwork Girl here is actually sort of based on the classic Leo meme of him walking, towards the camera. I forget what it's from. I haven't seen a DiCaprio movie since Titanic because I really don't like him, but he's meme-worthy. I saw Titanic despite DiCaprio. He feels like he's always acting, and it drives me nuts. These will not be the final pencils. Obviously, I'll clean this up, but I'm very iterative when it comes to my penciling. Check the dialogue. Always gotta make sure. Yeah, there we go. Glass Cat is talking. How's everyone doing today? It's Friday, right? It's Friday. Yeah. It's Friday. Days of the week really have no meaning to me anymore. I think that must be similar to a lot of comic creators. It's like, well, it's just another day that I gotta make comics. Because I pretty much work every day. At least doing something, especially for like indie comic creators, where you're also sort of controlling. Right, doing it there, yeah. You're also a business person, and even though this is published by Image, I'm responsible for everything except for, the actual publishing of it. So, oops, it's all on me. Kind of looking forward to being finished with issue 5, because after that the schedule's going to open up a bit. Might be switching to book-only releases for this series, just like with my other Image Comics series, Oddly Normal. Financially, it's a much better move, but I really wanted to get. And I wasn't sure if I was going to do that with this series, but I wanted to definitely get it started with single issues to get it sort of on the map. But it might be the best decision for this series, because all ages comics just don't do well in the market, current market for comics, unfortunately, which is really sad. But they do great in the book market, so we'd still probably release the issues digitally as I create them, single issues. So there would still be covers for each issue and stuff like that. And I'm going to be doing that for Oddly moving forward too. But I had to sort of have to make this decision. I've already pretty much made it. I think I'm pretty sure I'm going to do that. But I have to do this now pretty much because it's at the end of a 5-issue cycle, which is the same cycle. It's the number of single issues in a trade, and if I do it, now I can sort of make sure that the next 5 issues are part of one trade. Anyway, that makes sense. I'll definitely make an announcement of that on social media and in the comic itself. Anyway, long story short, it's going to open up my schedule a little because the schedule will be different for production. And I'll be able to get back to working on Oddly Normal, which is something that I did not abandon to work on this. Just had to put it on the back burner a little bit because I really wanted this project to happen. I figured if I didn't do it now, it wouldn't happen. And honestly, I didn't even expect it to be published traditionally. It was sort of a fluke. I just sent what I had done to Eric at Image and said, "Hey, would you ever be interested in doing an Oz adaptation?" He said, "Yeah, let's do it." So it was really that simple. I had almost the first 2 issues done, so you could see what the project looked like. But that meant sort of hitting pause on Oddly. Oh, I think his hair's a little too big here. The story here, they've come down the path and sort of see something, and I wanted it to be one of those moments where you see their reaction first and then you turn the page and you see it's gonna be the next page is actually a double page spread, so you get to see what they see. I think I'm going to give her a smile. How do we do that? Just a little smile. Looks like she's looking into the camera too much. Thank you, Abdemed. How you doing today? All right. Let's get that place guys down here. Still think she's not. There, that's a little better. All right, now let's tackle some of these, some of this background stuff. So these guys are going to be on stairs coming down, a little flight of stairs. So draw that first. Just a little bit of stairs. And it levels out onto the path. So let's have it come around here. Have the brick road come around. Curves around here and forms another set of stairs. I think I need to shrink these little, they're coming. Sorry, still sort of feeling out the geography here and making it make sense to me. Come on, get it right. Figure it out. Oh, you know what? No, actually, I just realized something. If I sort of arc this a little, arc it up, I can get away with having a little steeper steps and not having to. Yeah, that's better. That's better. So I got that done. Now I'm going to erase that. Put in some grass instead. There you go. That's better. I like to make the geography sort of make sense. The next page, I've already drawn the next page actually, and drawn the sort of the wide shot of the area that they come out into. And so I'm basically just trying to match that, it's in this sort of a decline of the road. There's a little bit of a wall that starts, which I think I'll just draw that right now. A little bit of a wall, because they're going to come out into like this big view of a valley, and like you see more of Oz. I kind of wanted it to look, sort of like a scenic overlook. I think that's too thick. That's right, I had her coming down steps. So I'll have that be the last one. And then these are going to be so gotta fix that. Got some bad tangent stuff going on. Yeah. Oh, that's not right. There we go. I go through so many iterations. I'm not great at this. Should probably let myself be a little looser when it comes to backgrounds, but I like to have them make sense. And it looks like a mess, but it makes sense to me. And I'll be able to make sense of it even more when I get into the final iteration. Her head looks too big. Oops. Nope, don't want to do that. Luckily, got a lot of text here. Actually, let me just make sure that. Let's do a quick sort of rough version. Whoops. Do this. I always letter my layouts to a certain degree and place the actual text, so I know where it's going to go. Make sure that it's working story-wise. Oh, I don't like how that looks. No, I've got to find just the right shape. There we go. I recommend if you letter your own comics, and indie comics creators should, because to me it's part of the visual storytelling. It's part of the artwork to some degree, you know, and it's part of the page. You shouldn't leave it up to the whims of a letterer who might have different priorities than you. Anyway, I highly recommend lettering your own pages and lettering them to some degree, at least with rough lettering like this, at the layout stage. You can avoid so many troubles in terms of, you know, bad tangents, bad compositions, bad flow. You know, you want the dialogue to flow to some degree. You want it broken up in ways that make the reader almost perform it in their mind. Bad lettering to me it really takes me out of a comic, and I can always tell when a letterer is not a storyteller. So I composed all of these panels around the lettering to some degree to make sure that they read a certain way. You know, I composed this one so that there was this space here for this word balloon. I knew it would be there, a single word balloon, and composed the characters like this. You know, this line of dialogue, it's Glass Cat is referring to Patchwork Girl. So I wanted the reader to have to like pass their eyes over the Patchwork Girl, who is the subject of this dialogue, before they get to the next one. Same with this. I wanted the dialogue to flow this way, but I also had to design the, you know, I liken it to blocking, you know, theater or film blocking. You have to block the characters so that things make sense on the whole, but also individually as panels. And so, you know, when you look at this, it's blocked so that if this were being filmed, the camera's kind of stationary at the first panel, And then it kind of pulls back as the characters get closer, pulls back a little bit more, and the characters sort of walk into their own close-up. That's sort of the idea here, because starts with this. It's a wide shot. They're in the the rule of thirds applies. They're there in the thirds, and it kind of the road curves, and it's always leading the eye this way. That's the idea anyway. I've always said I always think of my comics as comic book adaptations of an existing animated movie. And so I sort of usually lay things out with a director's eye in mind. I could have done this. I could have broken this page up many, many ways. But I felt like this was the best way for it to flow from, and the dialogue, sort of builds to this sort of point where they're all looking at something and he's saying, wow, but you don't see it yet. Anyway, get back to work here. I also I really try to compose things in ways that allow for foreground, midground, and background, no matter what's going on. This one obviously has it. You got he's extreme foreground, but like here, I didn't have this little piece of ground jutting out at first, and when I finally put it there, it finally worked, because it implied another area to the side, but it also gave it some visual difference in having a foreground, midground, background. Same with this with the tree. It's not as pronounced here, obviously, but you get the point. This sort of hill here, I want it to run right through her so it guides the eye a little bit and gives a sense of the background. I'm going to do the same thing here that leads the eye that way. Decide on the placement of the other trees. There's going to be a lot of trees here. I'm going to kind of cheat this background get back to it later. And I think I'm going to actually imply another tree up here, actually, by having a root come out. There we go. And then maybe another root coming out of the ground here. And last thing I'll do on this pass is it's going to be sort of trees in the background here as they come out. And then in the far distance, there we go. So, whoops. I think I'm probably gonna have to do one more pass on this. It's a very complex background, at least for me. This isn't quite working for me here. Let's see if I can do some surgery on it. Use the distort tool. That's a little better. I like that curve. Same thing up here. It's way too straight. Let's use the warp tool on that. Try to use all the tools at my disposal for this stuff. Tweak the cat. Oops, look what I just did. Just gonna tweak her a little bit. All right. Checking the chat here. No one's talking, just watching. Okay. All right, one more pass on the pencils. This will be the final one before I start inking. I don't need that. Whoops. Okay. And for the last pass, I switched to a more solid brush. The brush that I use for penciling is very oh, that's not it. It's fairly soft. You can see it's fairly soft there. Got soft edges. You can get smaller and get a little tighter, but it's fairly soft. I'm gonna switch to this one, I think. Force me to commit to certain lines. Oh, he's tweaking. I should have this like this way. Oops. Come on. This is still pretty loose penciling, but that gives me some room to find things when I ink it. Boy, I just keep coming back to this, like, why does she not look right to me? careful. Sometimes you can be very specific about the shape of the characters' heads and eyes, and whether like with cartooning, it's like the slightest difference can really make a big difference. Sometimes I'll draw the characters a certain way, and I'll be like, it doesn't look right, and then a slight alteration, like just moving her mouth a little bit to the left. I'm like, okay, that's her. That's her. Same thing with her eyes. Her eyes don't look quite right to me, so I'm gonna tweak it like this. There we go. I probably actually should have just gone right into inks on this, on him, because I really had an idea of, I feel like I might be duplicating work here, because I could have just inked this. That's okay. Get it done. Hello, Gupta. How are you doing today? Time is it? Oh, look at that. I've already gone an hour. Time flies when you're actually busy. Well, at least I got the characters all done. I still need some tweaks, but that's okay. I can start inking this. And I might not do another pass on the background. I might just jump right into inking it because it's okay. It's to a place where I can, I can work with it and just sort of wing it. Still need to tweak Patchwork Girl here. I'm not sure why. Otherwise, I think it looks okay. All right. Well, that's all for today. I'll be back Monday, 2 p.m. Central once again, and in the meantime, please like, subscribe, follow on Instagram, X, YouTube, Rumble, and Facebook, the 5 places I stream to, and don't forget, issue 3 of Patchwork Girl of Oz is in stores now and available digitally wherever Image comics are sold. Have a great weekend. Thank you so much for watching, and I